What does MrBeast have that Kai Cenat lacks? The answers to this question are very important, but in case you don't understand why it's being asked, here's a quick recap.
On Friday, we'll be doing a huge giveaway.
Yeah, take a look. This is an unruly crowd in Manhattan's Union Square.
I call this one, stay off the streets and go stream. The only person that's stopping y'all is yourselves. Security will be deep. You try something, you get boomed. You about to be lit in New York. I'm beyond disappointed in the things that went on Friday.
I'm Antewelli, and the purpose of this channel is to break down the production of the top videos and events, the good and the bad. This was Kai Cenat's very first attempt at a fan-driven activation, and it failed miserably. Now I love that Kai Cenat is the type of guy who, no matter how big he gets, is willing to give back to his fans. He remembers where he comes from. He's still humble, he's still grounded. That is commendable, but it doesn't change the fact that this blew up in his face. And if we study it and figure out why, we'll learn a lot. Sometimes, the best way to study a problem is to look at those that have already solved it. The MrBeast team has more than 40 times the number of YouTube subscribers as Kai Cenat, and yet somehow they have successfully hosted numerous fan activations, ranging from mere hundreds of fans to tens of thousands. But the MrBeast team walked before it could run. It was in 2020 that they first began ambitious public projects ranging from opening free stores to even car dealerships. But in these early era MrBeast projects, they never publicized the event in real time. Instead, they covertly launched each project. In doing so, they avoided the very likely scenario of being overrun by excited fans. Can you imagine the ensuing mob if people had found out they were giving away cars ahead of time? And given that they only had 12 to give away in the first place, their goal of a wholesome video giving unsuspecting customers a free car would have been ruined. It would have turned chaotic very quickly. From there, they slowly took it to the next level, decking out entire stores and even a bank with MrBeast decorations, this time making public the video projects they had underway, announcing to their local communities that all were welcome to attend, making use of billboards and street signs to advertise their events. It was then that the next important evolution in their large-scale event planning took place, because of the added pressure of more than just a handful of people moseying on in, now they had to consider hundreds and hundreds of people attempting to attend their activations at the same time. It was now supremely important to develop line management and retain control of the entrances and exits, keeping the waiting crowds of people separate from the event itself. It was not only essential for preserving the quality of the content, but also necessary for preserving the safety of both the participants and the team. By the end of 2020, the MrBeast team was finally ready for a real fan activation, opening a restaurant that paid people to eat at it. This time, for the first time, MrBeast teased this project 24 hours early on Twitter, resulting in the location of it being leaked on Reddit 12 hours afterwards. This, coupled with the inability to hide the location of the restaurant in the middle of town as it was being set up, meant that by the time they were ready to open, word had already traveled far and wide, resulting in over a mile of cars already queued up. That's over 350 cars before they opened, and within 4 hours of opening, the local police had to start managing traffic because the queue of cars had already extended to over 20 miles. That's between 7,000 and 28,000 people at any given moment over the course of 9 hours continuously. They ran out of food supplies multiple times, forcing the crews to source additional material locally in real time. And at one point, they even had to have armed security deliver an additional $200,000 because they'd run out of money due to the large crowds. What's more, additional workers also had to be brought in to meet the massive demand that such large and sustained crowds were causing their cook line. To describe this activation as chaotic would be an understatement, but throughout the entire day, the MrBeast team kept order and avoided on-set disaster hour after hour after hour. So what did they do differently than Kai Cenat? Well, for one, this was exclusively a drive-through experience. Participants were discouraged from exiting their vehicles, and both security and local police prohibited pedestrians from crossing the street on foot to approach the restaurant. If you weren't in a car, you weren't getting close. And so entry to the physical restaurant was unavailable to anyone that wasn't part of the team. So first and foremost, there was a strict and healthy separation between the MrBeast team and the fans. As the organizers and leaders of the event, it is essential that there be a space where both safety and sanity can be maintained. Additionally, prior to the event even being announced, security and logistical measures were already in place. By contrast, the Kai Cenat team arrived at the 4 o'clock event around 2 p.m., nowhere near early enough to establish the important separation between team and fans. In fact, when the Kai Cenat team arrived, they revealed themselves to the crowd and allowed themselves to be surrounded by a mob of fans. From the moment they arrived on the scene, it was chaotic. The 4 to 5 security guards escorting Kai specifically could barely stay astride Kai, let alone control the situation. This was their first mistake. Their next mistake was trying to be all-inclusive. You see, in Kai's announcement stream 48 hours prior to the event's start, he revealed the location and then explained why he chose it. Apparently, all transit in New York City arrives at this location, making travel to this place extremely convenient. The difference between a rural area where the majority of MrBeast videos are filmed and a major city is large. From population density to commuting habits, the way the people in an area get around is very relevant to our problem. In a rural area, for example, it's not uncommon for teens that live close to their school to walk to and from home. In a city, however, it's common for teenagers to use public transit. In either case, these teens travel with friends or by themselves, rarely with their parents. What does this mean in a scenario like the one Kai Cenat's giveaway caused? Over 10,000 teenagers without adult supervision. This is one of the key differences between the way the MrBeast team and Kai Cenat's handle an activation. Even when Jimmy opened his first official Beast Burger restaurant at the American Dream Mall in New Jersey, it wasn't easy for people without access to a car to get into. And even inside, security was exceptionally tough. This YouTuber attempted to sneak in with a disguise and was caught almost immediately by security. Finally, there is one specific difference that I feel may ultimately explain why Kai Cenat's activation failed, and I think that we can identify it by asking a series of questions. What if you put typical MrBeast fans in an open-spaced event like the one Kai Cenat attempted to host, and none of them had their parents with them? What if there were no safety parameters in place, no separation between the MrBeast team and the fans? Would the ensuing chaos result in the riot that we saw in New York City? I believe that there is a stark difference in culture between the two fan bases. Now, before the racists start nodding their heads in agreements and the more intelligent people out there start to vilify me, please hear me out. This has nothing to do with race. In fact, both MrBeast and Kai Cenat have fans from all over the world, every race you can imagine, and their age demographics are similar as well. When I point out culture, I'm talking about content. What values do they instill upon their impressionable audiences? What morals do they publicly endorse with their content? I think both creators have good intentions where it counts, but during Kai Cenat's giveaway announcement stream, his team literally invited a provocatively dressed porn star into frame, and thousands of minors watched as she clapped her ass cheeks and fondled her breasts for what Kai Cenat's team no doubt considered high-quality entertainment. Now look at the New York riots only 48 hours later. Can you see the parallels here? But Antoelli, Kai Cenat didn't destroy other people's property on stream. How can you blame him for other people's destructive behavior? I wouldn't go as far as to hold Kai Cenat exclusively accountable for his fans' poor behavior. However, when your content strategy regularly consists of low-hanging fruit and simply being outrageous, you're literally teaching the next generation that crazy behavior with a phone out and recording can equal fame. The youths that destroyed cars weren't only to blame. The crowd that glorified and reveled in this behavior is also sharing the blame. They not only recorded everything for potential clout later, but also cheered and exclaimed loudly every time new dents in the cars were made. It became a feeding frenzy of endorphins where the craziest behavior would get the most phone cameras on them and equal the attention that they were so desperate for. It's so essentially important to manage and prune the audience that you grow on social media. You need to encourage moral behavior by modeling it. And until Kai Cenat understands this, he may have to reconcile himself to the fact that he has a fan base that's going to regularly disappoint him. P.S. I don't want it to seem like I'm only attacking Kai Cenat and that his fan base is just terrible people, okay? No one has a perfect fan base, not even MrBeast. There was this one time that the MrBeast team had plans to do a "we're buying people's groceries" video, and they let the owners of the store know, a couple days before, and I think it was a Piggly Wiggly's. And unfortunately, when management was letting the workers of the store understand what was going to be happening in the next couple days, somebody leaked the event, and basically everyone started telling their friends and family, and they told their friends and families, come to the store, MrBeast is going to buy all your groceries. And lo and behold, it's film day, and MrBeast's team starts arriving on set. You know, nobody knows they're there yet, and they see that the entire store is packed with people, and not just, you know, people there ready to get their groceries bought, but literally people were bringing garbage cans into the store and filling up the entire garbage bag with nothing but meat, for example. Like, these weren't people that were just there to get their groceries and, oh, I'm surprised. These are people that were there to take advantage of MrBeast's generosity, and, you know, that hurt the content of the video. Like, they couldn't surprise people, which was the goal ultimately. And so there's no content to film here, and the activation got ruined, and ultimately MrBeast had to cancel the event. So I'm not trying to say that Kai Cenat's fan base is just awful, you know. We're all human. We all have our problems, but I will stand by this. Your fan base will reflect the qualities you want them to have if you model them on a regular basis. And I think that Kai Cenat has a lot of really great qualities. He obviously didn't want these things to happen, and, you know, a few days after the event, he went on to camera very briefly to let his stream fans know that he was disappointed in them and that he wants them to be better. And I think he is coming to terms now with the influence that he has, and I think that the next time Kai Cenat does a fan activation, he's going to put a lot of pre-production into it, and I think it's going to be successful, and I wish him all the best. So thank you for watching another production breakdown, and until next time, this is Entoelli signing off.